Welcome to What the Flick Review, Star Trek Discovery, Episode 4, The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry. It's a very Star Trek title. This is Matt Atchity, who's usually the captain. I have taken over the bridge. Jason and Jacqueline, I'm Kim. And this episode, it's hard for me to encapsulate it because I felt like a lot of side stories went on that sort of failed. Burnham has discovered something about the big tardigrade and the spore drive, and all the other characters continue to fit their archetypes. Lorca, war; Stamets, science; Saru, fear; and the Klingons were mostly pointless, in my opinion.
Wow, Kim, I mean, and we're done. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. You summed everything up perfectly.
Yeah. Well, it's just okay. I know they want the Klingon story to be relatable, for us to understand them as beings who deserve their own life and rights, and I get that. But I especially get that with the use of the word assimilate, which has special meaning in the Star Trek world, particularly with the Borgs and the loss of individuality and what that entails. So I guess that's evoking two extremes there. But the way they kept cutting back to them again and again, as if to imply strong significance, and it was just undercut by how corny those scenes are because of the Klingon. It's so slow. I just wish they would speak in common or whatever. We would understand that they're speaking in Klingon, but we would hear them speaking normally, I suppose.
Or put us with them earlier on. Like I felt like this.
I don't care.
Yeah, this episode to shove them in the story, I just feel didn't fit. I don't know.
You're right, Kim. You are singing right now because the Klingon story in this episode was poignant. There was a reason for it. But when you're trying to deliver to an audience and drive home a point, and you're not doing that well, it's lost. And again, I would have much rather had the Klingons not been anywhere in this episode, and we focus on Stamets and Burnham and what's going on with the lithium is the name, and that whole story arc versus these weird cutaways back to the Klingons' lives that are just like, okay, I have to sit through another 5 minutes of trying to decipher what are they talking about, this Takuvma and then assimilation and then L'Rell. It was just so many things that really didn't weave well together.
I understand they're gonna play something later, like Burnham's gonna meet the Klingons again eventually. I know they're playing a long game, but it just didn't land the way they executed it here.
Absolutely.
I want to like this show so much more than I do, and I have to admit, I've gotten to the point with this show where it's like, okay, time to watch it. Might as well have a drink at a time.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I do when I don't have faith in a movie, and I've reached that with this show. That being said, it helped a little. But towards the end, as you see what happens with Voq, my wife points out, oh, they're doing a parallel between him and Burnham, which hadn't occurred to me.
Didn't occur to me either.
It hadn't occurred to me because my wife thinks about these things on a deeper level than I do. And okay, I could kind of see that, but I don't think it's working very well. There were some moments in this that they're playing to archetypes. I think they did some stuff that feels like the same type of stuff that you would see in Trek, right? Where the captain says, yeah, we'll be there. And then you cut to the guy saying like, we're not ready, right? And it's played for laughs. Okay, and then you see Burnham figure out that, oh no, actually we don't need the supercomputer, we need the giant water bear, right? Who then is sad to be, like, then it's the sad water bear. Like it's the sad, gross teddy bear that they put in the thing and like.
As soon as they said weaponize it, it just turned off from what they were gonna do.
It's
a cute cuddly pet
thing, which is like, don't fear the new thing, understand the new
Embrace
thing.
it. Yeah.
Except they kind of, let's weaponize it after that. I didn't really understand also, Burnham for me is the one who doesn't really follow archetypes, and I don't mean because she's this special character, I mean because she makes confusing choices.
Yeah.
Because at one moment she's gung-ho, she's ready to do anything. The next moment she's quiet, contemplative, logical. It doesn't make sense for me. I know she's supposed to be this mix, but instead she's just this unpredictable choice after unpredictable choice. And I didn't understand why she was so quick to say, oh, the big water bear isn't violent or aggressive at all, we're judging it wrong. It doesn't seem like the scientific move to do.
Well, but I think she said that though because it's parallel to what happened with her, because people have judged her wrong and they have not given her a fair shake after the choices she made. Kim, I agree with you.
But scientifically speaking, that's a dumb choice.
Yes. But I mean, I think that's a little bit, that's like an easier way to combine her thing. I do agree that she's a conflicted character, but I think that's the one beautiful side of her right now is like in this conflict, she's a woman without a country. She can't be the logical person anymore because look where that led her. And she also can't lead with her emotions because she's in a position where everyone hates her. And if she did that, she would be ostracized even more than she is. What I think is the big problem is when I'm looking at this and you said the long game, what are they trying to do? That's the problem. This show is trying to do too much too soon.
Too soon.
Like,
absolutely.
Why did we shove this so early? Don't you think this is like an episode 8, 9 thing that we could have done?
There's a couple things from a storytelling standpoint I thought were a little weird, like Saru's fear ganglia, right? And
why did Michael do that? She came off as such an asshole.
So, right, and so there's the moment where they're in the lift and they come out because is he legit afraid of her, or do those ganglia work on their own in that they sense a danger that then informs Saru? Because if that's the case, and I hope that's kind of not the case, but it has to be, because then when he's standing there looking at the tardigrade, they don't come out. And she uses that as proof, like, oh, it's not dangerous. And I thought, okay, that's gonna be a crutch that's gonna get really abused in this show. And I hope that it doesn't.
Well, again, like she got the package from Georgiou's will. And you think like, oh, she feels so contrite and sorry about what happened. And then she's just an asshole to Saru right away. Just like using him for her own needs.
Wait a minute, it was Saru? Sorry, go ahead.
I just thought it was uneven because it's just like, what does she think? How does she feel about this? Does she feel a connection to what happened in the past? Does she feel the weight of it? Does she not care about Saru? I don't understand what she's doing.
I could see how you would totally be torn by that, Kim. But I think I got that Saru, since time has passed and since the whole incident with Philippa, that she feels a little dismissed by Saru every time because their interactions have always been, I love you, you're great. However, you are this evil, mean person.
You're the worst.
Yeah, so I mean, you talk about her character, and one of the problems I have with Michael, I'm sorry, I'm gonna call by her first name Michael, because I think it's great that her name is Michael, is that I personally want to connect with her, and for some reason, in some way, shape, or form, I can't, because in one instance, she's warm. She has this maternal, like with Tilly, and then instantly she's back to being like, I'm Angela Bassett, and I have no emotions whatsoever. I was raised with Vulcans. It's just, I wish that they would pick a lane for her and develop her in one lane versus always making her be scientific, war-driven, but then also mothering and caring. It's too conflicting. And yes, they're team too much every episode.
Yes, they are really
every
team
episode.
Too much. I would say with Saru though, it's what they did with, I hate to say it, Loxana Troy on TNG. It seems like her empathic powers were real spotty. Like sometimes I can tell exactly what people are thinking. Sometimes I have no clue. And I feel like Saru's fear is gonna be that same like mulligan, like a
plot
yeah, it's just gonna be when it's convenient for the writers and they just put them there for that. So that's a little Star Trek. Doing what they do.
At a higher level, this show is not, it's okay, right? I'm enough of a Star Trek nerd that I'm not gonna turn it off. It's not that bad. It's better than no Star Trek. And there have been shows that I've been excited about that have turned out to be so bad I can't continue them.
Is this worse than Enterprise though?
I don't think so.
I think we should wait before we get complete judgment.
Right. That being said, one of my issues with this show, and maybe this isn't exactly fair to the show, the history of Star Trek is somewhat aspirational, I think, from a sociological standpoint, right? And it's hopeful. And every one of the series, even Voyager, even DS9, there's this underlying sense of hope that at the end of the day, this philosophy of secular humanism and doing the right thing is going to win out. And I think we've gotten most, not the original show, but a lot of times the later shows after they came back in Paramount we had these really positive shows that reflected but also fit into the culture as a whole. And maybe it's what I'm having trouble with here is that, and partly it's, because I work at a place like the Young Turks where I'm like paying attention to real news now. The show doesn't either, it's hitting a note of hope that I feel is incongruent with everything else that's going on and not hitting the note that it needs to, that acknowledges, look, there's a lot of assholes out there, but we can actually still be better. And it feels like almost that there's still tinges of that 90s era. Maybe it's that the mindset that they're representing is at least 20 years old and I think doesn't set a reality of where we're at. I don't know. Now I'm trying to do armchair philosophy that doesn't make any sense.
On a show that's not that deep.
And maybe that's the thing. I'm looking for a depth here that maybe isn't there.
But and that was, Matt, great commentary. But that was the point I was making last week when I said I felt like this show could have been easily ledged between a teeny bopper between Gossip Girl and some, just to be like, okay, listen, Star Trek is an awesome franchise with this amazing legacy, amazing heritage, but we don't want to. It's not too deep, as you said. So let's just put this out there. Also, you guys being the Trekkies that you are, me not being a Trekkie, are you guys getting any of the lore of Star Wars? Star Trek, Star Wars, Star Trek. I know. Fired. Carter is fired. But are you guys
should be wearing a red shirt?
Are you seeing any of the any like
Easter egg stuff
in regards to previous Star Trek franchises and shows?
Here and there.
Lorca's Ready Room has some stuff in it, but
I mean, it's more about the whole whatever. As soon as they said dilithium, not everyone knows that.
That's like the. It's convenient.
Yes.
Again, it's this thing you can't replicate.
Yes.
You have to mine it. Maybe the mining town deserved more protection than it had.
It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's a MacGuffin. But again, the idea that they talk about dilithium, because I can't think of an episode where they talked about it in that much depth, personally, or where it came from, how they do it, how they used it.
But that's one of the things. This place is responsible for 40% of our fuel, our fuel supply. Well, then maybe have half the fleet out there.
Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
I thought one of the real standout performances in this episode was Stamets. I just love it.
I like him.
I love him too because his snark is just so on the money.
Stamets flirting with the Doctor?
Yes.
With Wilson Cruz? Of course, yeah.
Maybe I'll leave it just in case you decide to feel something.
Oh, I think that it's established that that's going to be a thing later on. Yeah. I think, at least I'm ready for it.
As a gay male, and I don't want to speak for all gay males, but that exchange was definitely what's the guy slide into your DMs later?
Yeah, at Comic-Con, I think they announced that. I think
they
rap,
did.
that they're going to be a thing.
Oh, good, then I'm right.
Yeah. No, I think that's right. So anyway.
All right.
Do we have any parting thoughts for this episode? I thought it was just a mess, honestly. But
it was a mess, but this is the problem with the show. There are nuggets of good.
Yeah.
But
it's not consistent.
They just shove them into the stuff that's not, where it's literally like that person where you're just like, help me help you.
So, and Kim, I know we talked about Tilly, but it was nice to see Tilly actually, she said, my mother would say this way, my mom would never talk to me. Again, that moment with Burnham and her, that was the kind of drama that I would like to see a little bit more of, and not in the sense of making it like a Grey's Anatomy moment, but it was real, it was relatable. There was two people meeting in the same place for once over something that was poignant for one person.
And Tilly is going to be really important in this show. I think she's the heart.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I would love to see Tilly's dialogue be better and more grounded with what they're trying to do with that character, because I don't have a problem with the naive junior officer wanting to learn from Michael, but they write her like
a 12-year-old girl.
Like she came in from a different show.
I mean, I think Jacqueline's point about they're pushing way too hard on the long game and not focusing about the moment or being present in this episode to this episode or this scene to this scene. I think that's a continuing problem. I feel like it doesn't feel in its heart like a Star Trek to me yet. It still just feels like a sci-fi. I think a lot of that has to do with the crew not really liking or trusting each other. Maybe they'll fix that later on. Maybe that's part of the long game that we're working toward. I don't know, but we might find out next week when we review episode 5. Lorca's in trouble or something? Okay, see you then.